Now, despite the student loan decision from the High Court, the repayment pause will resume for some in October. Others haven't started any repayments on their student debt. Robert Farrington, the founder of the College Investor, says 1/4 of borrowers graduated in the last 3 years. So the bill is something recent graduates will have to add into their budget. He says before the pause, the number of people defaulting on student loans was rising in the last 15 years.
With federal student loans, there's a lot of options, and some of them are based on your income. So if your income has changed over the last couple years, maybe it's gone down, there's options that you could actually get a lower student loan payment.
Another recommendation he made is to take advantage of the president's Fresh Start program for those who may be falling behind on payments. He says you can sign up now to get on track to remove the default from your credit report.